Who is Christine anyway?
So hi.
Is good.
You look fantastic.
Thank you, as do you.
How is the wonderful climate out west?
It's slowly but surely cooling down. Actually, I kind of lucked out because this past week we were in the Pacific Northwest on San Juan Island, which is kind of like, it's off the coast of Washington. And we spent a week basically kind of in the middle of nowhere on an island writing music.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. And the weather was damn near perfect that whole time. But the reason I'm saying I lucked out was because Southern California had a bit of a heat wave while I was gone, and I got back just in time for it to like start cooling down. So basically I missed like the worst.
There was a news story where a guy had done it was like a half marathon or something, and it was like 90 out, and they started at 5 a.m, and he ended up dying at the finish line.
That's not a way I'd want to go.
No, California heat is not like any other heat. It's very dry.
It's dry. It's a bit oppressive, but I mean, like being born and raised in Southern California, I'm used to perfect weather for the most part all year round. So anything.
We have this discussion while I'm out.
Yeah, anything above 85 is too damn hot, and anything below like 65 to me is like freezing. So, and in that aspect, I'm definitely spoiled.
You'd be miserable up here right now. It's that time of year where it's like 45 in the morning, and then by mid-afternoon, it's 85.
Yeah, that's brutal. And it always seems to be like September. Like most people think end of July into August is the hottest part of the year, which it is pretty brutal, but it seems like September, sometimes even into October in Southern California anyway.
Yeah.
It's the hottest. So
I think one year I did NAMM and it was 80, and I was like befuddled because it was January.
Yeah.
Like, it's so conflicting.
Like I said, we pretty much have perfect weather all year round.
That was the year I cut my jeans into jorts.
Yeah. Drastic times call for drastic measures.
And it's like, I'm dying. I am not from this climate. I do not tan. I do not do well in heat. I don't know. But you put me like driving through a snowstorm and it's probably terrifying. But if you put me on like the 405 out there, I am terrified.
Yeah, the 405 sucks. But I mean, like, again, being from Southern California, I've never once in my life had to shovel a driveway.
Can you dodge deer?
See, again, I've never had to.
You had to dodge other things though. Like there's been some, like with the lanes splitting up the roads, that really throws me off.
Yeah, it can get tricky. The only thing I've really ever
terrifying.
The only thing I've really ever had to dodge is another dickhead driver. And Southern California is full of them.
Yeah, but you got something to yell at if you guys hit each other. Like if I hit a deer and it's down the road, the first thing I do is I go and apologize to the deer, which I'm like not even sure why, because my car is now inoperable.
Right.
But also the deer is inoperable.
Right. Or dead.
You know?
So.
Well, there goes my hopes of getting their insurance information. But
right.
They call that an act of God up here because the deer are so kind of like outlandish and crazy.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. So welcome to my office. It's actually quite quiet in here. Nice.
I like the floral.
It's actually floral and succulent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very earthy.
I will never, ever put wallpaper up again in my life. Just so we're on the same page. That was hellacious to put up.
I can imagine. That's why I don't have any wallpaper in my home. We just paint it.
I love paint now, especially because I'm like, oh, that'd be just so nice in the back. Like, it's so pretty and nice. And I have a big neon sign coming that goes across in the middle. And so I have one kid that's like 5'8", and I'm like, I'm like, all right, to the ladder with you.
Yeah.
And I didn't know she knew so many swear words. And I'm like, where did you get these? Like,
that went early.
Did not. But I also, as I move you, I have like this really wild wall.
Dick.
Yeah, you're up yonder.
Oh, hey. I know them.
Yeah, they're all right. Not a charity case on my wall, but they're all right.
Hey, I'll take it, charity or not.
No, no, you're not charity. I actually have another. I actually have, which one is it? The Curse from Atreyu too, signed. I don't know where the heck I got that. I think I found it on eBay.
Okay.
That's where I found it. I could never get near you guys when you were, I don't know, when I was younger, fangirl-esque.
That's because we were just so damn popular.
I know. First time I saw you guys, I think I told you, we talk about this all the time, like Park Jean-Jacques Roux in Montreal. And I was like 15, 16, maybe, maybe a little younger. And I was so funny because I had like this such a bad haircut.
Yeah, this
I'm like, I was all about that life. And like you guys were playing like right here in front of me, and then right to the back side of me was Lexus on Fire, and it was raining cats and dogs that day. But everybody was thrilled about it because, you know, what's more fun than a mosh pit? A mosh pit with mud. So
yeah.
there was at one point Alexis on Fire yelled, you know, whoever jumps in the puddle gets a blah blah blah. And it was just like, and I'm just standing where you guys were playing, and I'm like, oh my God, I can get near the barricade now. So I like totally got up there. And it was just, oh my God. And when I think back on that, I'm like, I should have like really been on the first 48. That would have been an international crime. A child goes over the border to a concert. I completely went away from everybody. I didn't even have a cell phone. I'm just in another country.
You were letting life on the edge.
Well, my friend had went to go jump on board for Newfound Glory. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to catch the casualties. I want to catch the tree. I think you guys, I think Avenged Sevenfold was like right after you guys or right before, something like that. So it was an interesting first encounter, and then tripping over you in what is constitutionally a cow barn of upstate New York was pretty ironic.
So this was hard to have been what, like 2005, 2006, something like that?
2003.
Oh, 2003. Okay.
Is when I ran into you guys at Warped Tour, and I saw you guys the first time live. But I was geeked out. Somebody had sent me Suicide Note and Butterfly Kisses back then.
Okay.
And I was like, this is it. This is my jam, you know. And I'm, oh God. The good news is my yearbook quote is Jimmy Eat World lyric. Like, so I'm not like cringing too bad. But the pictures are, yeah, every bit of it is there. People's Exhibit A exists. But you guys were on my Clamapple for the longest time onto the Flowers.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, they were there when I met you in like 2014, 2015, 14. I think it was 14. Yeah, it's 14.
Okay.
Sure, my memories. When you were session playing, and you went to the exhibition hall and said nice tattoo, and I was like, ew.
I really meant it. Like, I wasn't like trying to be creep.
That's what made it all worse. Like, so you guys do this. You walk. I'm standing there. I was like, I'm promoter rep. I'm standing there, and I'm already jaded because that's who you're playing with. I'm like, of course I'm here in life. How did I end up here? And I'm standing there, and you just kind of casually walk up, and and you're just like, nice tattoo. And I'm like, ew. And then I just kind of blur over to the tour manager. I'm like, that guy said I have a nice tattoo. He goes, do you know who that is? And I'm like, no. That can't sound like, he's like, it's trans. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, just immediate inward cringe. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. I'm not bringing them catering. I got to get someone else to do that because I am crawling in the deep, dark hole somewhere in the back cash office. Just, yeah. And it was just, I didn't expect to find you where I found you, but did you do a lot of session work when Atreyu wasn't active? Or was it just that one instance?
Well, as far as like touring, yeah, that was the only real gig I had. If I remember correctly, a friend of mine and I were doing some music for. We have a lot of friends in the film world,
Right?
And so we got hired to do like source music for independent films, which was cool. But yeah, other than those two things, that was pretty much it.
That was literally a chance encounter.
Yeah.
And that's
Here we are now.
and that's what we did with it. But it was funny because now we have this great trauma bond. And you, me, and like four other people, we all just kind of like side eye each other. What? We just know. It's like, oh, it's okay. We all have like a support group we meet.
Yeah, we all came out relatively unscathed.
We did. Honestly, it was kind of, I'll never forget 4 a.m. phone calls from my boss screaming at me incoherently. That was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Once I joined the camp that you were on. And then, you eventually, you kind of went out of the camp and then the rest of us stayed. And then basically one by one, we kind of dispersed, kind of like mercy killings.
Right. A mass exodus / genocide.
It kind of was. And it was like, but that summer though, and it's funny because even now, like as an adult, like as I go into things, I get so excited when I end up in like the craziest, weirdest, dumpiest kind of places. I'm like, I want to have the best stories coming out of this, but I just got to survive getting through it first. And it was just, it's impossible. And it's so funny that the initial binder for everybody is music. And that's that's what gets kind of comical about it. It's like, I keep telling people to go watch Hired Gun. I was actually talking about this yesterday at my daughter's, I call it her Kool-Aid dance class.
Kool-Aid dance class.
Yeah. Well, I have found a loophole in the system. Dance class for kids is like $80 a week. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you got about these like tutu outfits that they're going to wear for 13 seconds. And they're probably going to, she's 5. Okay. She's going to destroy it. I'm going to destroy it. It's never going to last. She's not going to fit in it in a week.
Right.
So I found that man, here comes another one. There's this church that will give a whole semester of lessons for $72. But every time you go, they're going to try to convert you.
Yeah. So you got to kind of weigh your options there.
But I bring her because I'm like, this is tolerance. I'm teaching her tolerance.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she's like, but it's interesting because it's like one of those river falls. So there's like thousands of kids there, but there's only like 8 adults.
Right.
Directly call from you. So, but they're all related too, because it's, one church and they all kind of like, well, you can marry my sister, I'll marry your third cousin. But because they have such huge families, everybody's quintessentially related. It's as pure as the driven snow, to put it lightly. But at the same time, I'm like, $72 dance class.
It'll add up.
I'm just, at the same time, though, I do enjoy sitting down. I was actually having a discussion about religious metal bands yesterday. Of course, I don't wear my Rotting Christ shirt in that venue, but I will wear one. I'll maybe touch a little bit here and there on some, topics. I like to walk in on a statement piece. Like, there's one I have shirts has like Jesus on the front. It says, I did not say that. Like, and I'm like, let's chat.
Yeah.
So they sit there with the Bible and they'll just do their like flying through, and I don't know. So into the going into the religious side of metal music was interesting yesterday.
Yeah, they're very not necessarily polar opposites, but I mean, it's been a saying for a long time, but it's just definitely one of those things that like if you're not in the know, I'm sure that seems very odd to most casual music listeners.
Yeah, but it was interesting because he had never, like, a lot of, I think it was like Tooth and Nail were discussing, and I even brought up Indianola, all these other labels. I'm like, they have tons of like Christian metal bands that are interesting. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and then we started going into the dynamics of, band people. Like, you realize these are 5 individual people, and he didn't know what a Hired Gun was. So I was like, okay, from the top. All right. Also, Netflix has a great documentary on it. Watch it. It discusses all these really cool things. And I don't think kids even, especially kids, I'm like, you do realize you can make a career necessarily being a hired gun, being a session player, all these weird kind of things. And sometimes you end up tripping and falling into permanence, or you almost, people think that the industry is like so massive, and it's kind of weird. Like, we all end up at NAMM and we're like, we all know each other. Like,
right.
No, it's kind of one of those situations, but it's also the same thing with like concerts. Like, when I go now, do you go backstage or you front? I'm like, I actually kind of miss being in a crowd. It's no being upstate. Like, if I go here, I'm like, hey, this guy spilled a drink on me. Yay. And it was an accident. So
yeah. Like whenever I go to shows, like sometimes being backstage is nice because then you don't have to deal with the crowd. But on the flip side, like whenever I am backstage, I always just feel like I'm in the way or I'm taking up valuable space because I've been in, my own backstage, and if it's just flooded with people, it's a pain in the ass. That's why I love hometown shows because all, friends and family, they all come out. But I fucking hate hometown shows because all the friends and family come out. And it's like, I've got all this group of friends coming in, and I got to make sure that they all get in. I got to, especially if my parents come, I got to make sure that, I can reserve a spot for them to hang out so they're not like mingling with all our knucklehead friends.
Your parent tent was an underrated thing.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Looking back on it now, I'm like, man, we should have had a designated adult space at all the shows. But now I'm older, and I'm like, we could put ibuprofen in there.
Yeah. Some earplugs.
Heating pad. I handed those out at a show I did this past summer, and it was wild because, I had kept it really relatively quiet. Tour managers are kind of really the unsung heroes of concerts, and nobody really talks about how exhausting that's got to be to a degree. And I had handed out for the 4th of July parade all these, earplugs, and then I brought a whole bunch to the show because people don't understand, auditory safety.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm like, you guys realize hearing problems are a thing. Tonight is all that stuff. And I'm like, you're standing in front of, oh my God, insane levels of sound equipment. And I'm sure your insides are going to be a milkshake when you're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. It bums me out when I see like parents, especially now for us, like a lot of our fans have grown older. And so now that they have kids and they bring their kids to the shows, which is awesome, but it just bums me out when they don't give them like ear protection.
The big ear thing. So even just like little ones, anything, honestly.
Anything. Yeah. Like I'm bummed out when I'm at a show and I leave and my ears are, I have that high pitched ring for the next 12 to 16 hours. I can only imagine what it's like for a child who isn't like fully developed yet in their auditory and like sensory, that whole deal is just being bombarded with, super high decibel volume.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me question their parenting.
Yeah. There was, so that show that I had done, and it boggled my mind. So I love all ages shows. I think they're super important because, like you said, a lot of your friends have kids now, but it's also important because it keeps kids into the venues. Get some, you have to start them young kind of thing. But the start them young thing, I had a woman bring a 3-month-old baby on the front of her in a carrier. No head, nothing. Luckily, I know. Luckily, I had it was a catwalk that was, sensory. And it wasn't sensory deprivation, but it was sensory blocking. And I had, kind of left that open. I said to them, any autistic, special needs people, there's a risk of service pets because you can't turn away an ADA, service pet. Right. But I'm like, I don't want a dog on the floor getting like his ears blasted. And so I was like, you guys just kind of go over. I can't tell you where to go, but go look, there's food in there.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of one of those things. And she's like, we couldn't get a sitter. And I'm like, there's 2 of you here.
Yeah.
One of you back. Like,
one of you bite the bullet and stay home.
I know. And it's, some people were great in the front row. I did see almost everybody that had a kid had earplugs on their kids, but the adults didn't. Which I don't know if it was half because, when you get home, your kid is scaring me. And I'm like, I can't hear you. That's fantastic. It's for that thing that merch table didn't sell me, or if it's just, they think that, back in our generation, it was earplugs were not discussed, that hearing helps. So it's one of those things where I was walking along the front and I'm giving out earplugs and I'm thinking, oh God, this is ridiculously maternal. If I was on the barricade and someone was like, here's some earplugs, darling, I'd be like, thank you, Grandma. You're right. This stuff is scooting by. And like a girl grabs me and she's like, you are so lucky. I'm like, And like the way she said it, it was like demonic. Like I'm like, whoa. Like I have slept 4 hours out of 48. I don't feel very lucky. I feel very tired. And I'm gonna go back to that green room now and probably put some sanitizer on and have some breathing exercises because I'm very nervous. And I don't think a lot of people understand the actual exhaustion with shows, with touring. And you do a lot of it, and you do a lot of traveling.
Yeah, I've come to, like, I hate flying.
You're in an abusive relationship with LAX, Travis. Just saying.
Yes. Can I swear? Because fuck that airport.
You mean the one that's always under construction?
Right, and it'll never be finished.
It'll never be done. That is accurate. Just working on yourself like LAX works on itself. Always.
Right, yeah. I'm a constant work in progress. No, like I love traveling. I love being new places, seeing new things, meeting new people.
Yeah.
Eating new food. Soaking in the culture. I hate the A to B of it all.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, even just getting on a flight, it's nothing but hurry up and wait. Like, okay, you got to get to the airport. You got rushed to the airport. And then you got to rush to the airport to
2 hours in advance. It's a 2 hours. See, 2 hours. Because you don't know if you're going to hit the one who's like super anal TSA person who's like, listen, I'm going to need to count exactly how many Tic Tacs are in that box.
Right.
You can get comfortable. Or you're not going to, you're going to get the Friday 5 p.m. lady who's like, whatever. If I die, go off. Oh, yeah. And I've got both at that place. I'm like, I've showed up where I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 1 minute and 59 minutes before boarding. And I use every one of those minutes, or I get there and I'm like, great, now I got like an hour and 39. What will I do?
Yeah.
And then everything is insanely expensive. The water is insane.
Yep.
Insane. Yep. But I'm like you. I like when you arrive in the destination, wonderful.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
It's just, like I said, it's just the A to B of it. And I say, like, when I was younger, I had an easier time flying, but now that I'm older, it's physically exhausting to sit on an airplane and do nothing for hours on end. Like, my shoulders
on flights, right?
Yeah, I might doze off for like 10, 15 minutes here or there.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then I'm up for another hour or two, and then I doze off again. And it almost makes everything worse because I'll wake up from this like tiny little quote unquote power nap, and I wake up and think like, oh, at least 2 or 3 hours have gone by. Awesome. And then I look at my phone and it's only been like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, God damn it.
Nothing like emotional defeat to go with your friends.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no. So I didn't fly for a long, long time. Did you fly your whole life? Have you flown your whole life? Like, you've always been on planes and done things and done things?
Yeah, I mean, I flew when I was younger for like family trips and stuff like that, but obviously not nearly as much as I do now in this stage of my life.
Right. So what airline do you think? Like, I like flying JetBlue. I think there's room in the seats. I can see on the TV, and they give me snacks. Like, I'm a big fan of snacks. I did one time. I was like, man, that's so expensive. And I was actually heading out to LAX, and I'm like, you know what? I'll do the airport hopper thing. So I'm like, okay, we're going to go Syracuse, and it's going to go over to Boston, and Boston's going to go to Phoenix, and Phoenix is going to go to LAX. And I'm like, all right, we'll only pay $88, so we'll do it. That was the worst idea I have ever had, because then on the way back, it's like, okay, you're going to Reno, but don't get off. It's a stayover. And I'm like, right. What? It's a stay on the plane. I'm like, okay. So then from Reno, I was like, where was the next place? It was Chicago, I think. And then from Chicago to Boston to Syracuse. And I'm like, this is so complicated, but I'm only paying like $137. I'll bring my own snacks. We'll make it work. And everything was fine. I'm like, okay, I get out there. I do my thing. I get on the plane after my abusive relationship with LAX. I get on the plane. It's Southwest. Going into Reno, I thought I was going to die. Like, it was so bad. The stewardess brought me a garbage bag. Like, the turbulence was so bad. She's like, do you want a Schweppes? Like, on top of this, you're going to offer me like the worst ginger ale on the market. Oh, please tell me how wonderful this is. So I'm like sitting there, the plane has stopped, I'm on the stayover, and I'm like, Benadryl is Dramamine, it's diphenhydramine, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna chill, and I'm just gonna have some water in this Schweppes. Like, and she's digging for crackers, and she can't find anything. And I'm like, of course, if you were JetBlue, you have snacks. I go, the actual judge, jury, and executioner of a pilot comes back, and he's like, not feeling too good, and I'm like, holy shit.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, like, it's just me on a plane with a gigantic black garbage bag. All they had was the big black trash bag. Like, it was not a small 13-gallon office bag. Like, they whipped out like the corpse bag, and he put it on my lap. And he's like, just so you know, it's going to be worse going out. And I'm like, why? I can't get off the plane to go get something because then I have to reboard to get something. He's like, I can see if my wife packed me a snack, and he never came back and saw me again. And I'm like, oh my God, never again. Never again.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, like that, when you're bouncing around on all these like layovers or stayovers, whatever, it just makes the day of travel exponentially longer.
It does. The altitude too really is like up, down, up, down. I'm one of those people that I'm like, I'm really wide awake. And then I get up in the air and I don't know if it's because of the pressure change or the oxygen itself thing. It's almost like I've just been chloroformed. I'm done, out, done, and gone. Like, I don't care if I don't know you. I'm sleeping on you. We're friends now. Sorry, so I usually ask for a window seat. So like my face, like, or like I'm just sneered against the window in a really shameful kind of way. And I'm always reading the crap in the back of the seat. I don't know why. I'm like, what is this? Like the safety protocols.
Yep.
And then I get myself all worked up. And I'm like, well, what if we do go down? Like, at least there's a freaking raft. And I'm like, raft? It's all dry land between here and LA.
Right.
Here in LA. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to die. I mean, yep.
Here we are complaining about the gift of flight.
Yeah, I know. Meanwhile, what was it? Amelia Earhart still. Did they ever find? I think they found a piece of her plane recently.
Like recently?
I think it was like within the past few years. I'm not sure, but I think I saw it in the news where they had said that, like, oh yeah, like, well, yeah. I mean, even if she was alive, she'd be well over like 100 now. So she's definitely dead.
Right. Right.
So we got that completely out of the way. She's definitely dead.
Yeah, she's gone.
She's gone, and she's not in Reno. Should say. I haven't gone back to Reno. That happens.